All right, welcome back to another video. In this one, we're gonna be talking about a new bait from Northland, and it is an extension on the Deep-Vee platform. So Deep-Vee is super awesome. A lot of you have seen it already. It's got a unique shaped head, but it also just has the perfect hook for me, which is, it's the most versatile hook as far as using plastics or night crawlers or minnows or anything like that. So right now in the family, they have that traditional jig, but they also have the bucktail jig, which came out a couple years ago, and this is basically just bucktail hair, a little bit of tinsel on there. And then also this year they have the Deep-Vee spin as well, which has that little underspin blade right there, a little bit of extra flash and vibration. But in this video, the one that we're gonna be talking about is the new Deep-Vee Flashtail. Now this is a really cool bait. Of anything in the lineup already, it's most closely related to this bucktail jig, but it's very different in that the material is quite different, and also some of the different colors and flash can be a big player. You can also see just right here, the bucktail has a lot longer hair. It's kind of designed to be more long and leechy, I guess, whereas the flashtail is shorter, compact profile, but it's also got a lot more flash. It's more of a rigid material as well, so that's just gonna look different in the water, give you a little bit of a different action. So that's what we're gonna be talking about in this video. We're gonna dig a little bit deeper into this new flashtail bait, and we're also gonna show you some underwaters. Now obviously, color is gonna be a big part of these new jigs. They're dressed up with this tinsel skirting. It's very bright and flashy, so we're gonna run through the colors really quick. First up, we have white. And then on the opposite side of the spectrum, we have black, chartreuse, walleye, fire tiger, one of my personal favorites, purple descent, and another one of my favorites, pink, parrot, bubblegum, sunrise, moonlight, and then lastly we have watermelon. So that's a quick run through on the colors. And then for sizes, we have this little guy right here. It's a 1/16 ounce jig. Then we have the 1/8, which is just an all around popular weight as far as walleye fishermen go. And then you have the big 1/4 ouncer. This is another popular one. The 1/8 can be really good for fishing up in shallow. The 1/4 is more for that moderate and kind of sneaking out into the depths. And then the biggest size is the 3/8, and this is gonna be for fishing in deep water, or if you're pairing this thing with a big bulky plastic that's really gonna slow down its presentation. And I didn't really talk about where you use the 16th ounce, but you could use the 16th ounce for really finesse fishing for walleyes up shallow, but more often than not, folks are gonna be using this size specifically for panfish, especially crappies. Now I'd mentioned just a moment ago tipping these baits. So one of the beauties about these is the fact that you don't actually really need to tip these with anything per se. You can drag this bait across the bottom, you can rip jig it, give it some action, be aggressive, and it's gonna fall quickly and it's gonna get bites no problem. I mean, just look at how delicious this tasty walleye colored. Got the golds, you got the darks, but if you want to, I'm grabbing another bait right here. You can throw a plastic on the back of this. So this is just the eye candy minnow, and I have that on the back of the jig. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna slow down the action a lot more. I'll show some underwaters right now of just what these plastics can do to these baits, but it really creates a lot of bulk in the presentation, and it's a really good look. And I've caught a lot of fish pairing flashtails like this with plastics. We did have the chance to use these flashtails this last season quite a bit. Another good option, throw a paddle tail on there. This is the paddle shad, and this is just gonna be a really good 1-2 punch as well. Last but not least, on the plastic side of things, you know, you can use minnows, you can do a lot of things with these. It's actually really popular for people to use these styles of baits with a little minnow on there. You could put a little salty on there and just kind of hang that in the water column. A lot of people will use baits like this in river fishing situations, and if you pair that with some meat, it can be really good, but oftentimes it's not needed. One of my absolute favorite things to put on this bait is just that little eye candy grub. I just love the action. I love the profile. This one right here is an 1/8 ounce jig, and I like to pair that 1/8 ounce with that little grub. And this is a juicy little kind of finessey look. So I'm a big fan of that. Actually, I would say for me personally, the way I like to fish these, any of these options are viable. But I like to use this grub, or I like to just use it plain. So that's kind of the way I like to think about it, but there's a lot of ways that can work. All right, so I will make one more quick note before we wrap this video up. One thing I really like about these baits is that they can be really, really effective for fishing after dark, just because they do have a little more bulk, a little bit more presentation for a fish to find. And in addition to that, there are a few colors in the lineup where not only will the head glow, and the head will actually glow in most of these jigs, but actually the tinsel itself will also glow. So there are a few colors. I'll actually put a picture right on the screen right now showing which colors specifically glow and which ones don't. So there's only a few of them, but if you're fishing after dark, it can really be effective to glow those baits up and make it a little bit easier for those fish to find the baits. So something to think about, but that's all we got for you. This is the new Flashtail Jig from Northland right here, and they have it on their website right now. Actually, a bunch of the retailers have it as well. So if you enjoyed this video and you learned something, make sure to hit that little red subscribe button down below, because we have a lot more awesome content coming in the future. And until then, we will see you in the next one.